Today I'm going to talk about what to expect on the very first day and first few weeks as a software engineer or data scientist. In my last video, I talked about how I became a software engineer in 4.5 months, going from zero to hired, and I will link that video below. But I often got asked, what was it like on that very first day, and kind of what to expect like those first few weeks, especially if you're new to the industry. I came from a farming and agriculture background, so I knew nothing about the tech industry or what was kind of expected at a tech job. So I think this video is something that I wish I would have had before I walked in. So I hope you really enjoyed this video and this answers some questions. Alright, very obviously you're going to be doing a bunch of onboarding. I feel like it doesn't matter where you go, they're going to flood you with paperwork. That's just what's going to happen. So no matter what, you should always have these documents prepared, but like a passport, your driver's license, any kind of legal documentation that shows, hey, you're a US citizen, but at least that's how it is for US jobs, or if you are here on a green card type status, just always have your documents ready and organized. I feel like that first day you're spending a lot of time with HR, human resources, going over your employee handbook, which you should read or keep it somewhere where you can easily reference. So I highly recommend that you take whatever documents human resources give you, especially the employee handbook, and put it somewhere where you can easily get to. I like to put mine inside of GoodNotes because it's easily searchable, so I can search stuff like if I'm curious about what their take is on PTO, I can just like type PTO and then it'll automatically pull it up. So that's why I recommend using GoodNotes, but just keep it somewhere where you can get to. You never know, I feel like you sometimes get to a point where you have to reference that documentation for like taking vacation days or trying to figure out, hey, do we get July 4th off or something like that. So yeah, lots of documentation the first day. And then of course, depending on what kind of org that you're at, you get to learn the rest of the teams. So I didn't go and work for a quote unquote tech company. So in my experience, I got to meet a bunch of people outside of my department, which I thought was really cool. And I got to learn how the business works. So I highly recommend, I don't care where you end up going, like figure out how whatever business you go to work for makes money, but I also think it's really important to also figure out areas of improvement where they lose money. Really listen to people's problems. I found out if you can really hone in on what like makes somebody's job not so fun, and if you can use your tech skills to cause a solution for it, then you, my friend, have a job forever. And that's what I ended up doing. So take really good notes, but I feel like no matter who you talk to, like just try to really ask questions that will get them to divulge like how their job like makes money. You might not have to like, you got to get very creative on how you ask it, maybe not point blank, like just ask, hey, how does your role like make money, but more like how does your role kind of help facilitate the mission or whatever. Just come up with something to try to get them to divulge like what is it that they do and how it kind of helps the company make money. And then also ask them, hey, what are some things that you wish could be improved, and try to ask like tech questions. Do you like face some technical issues? At least for me, I found out my tech talents really come out when it's something that's hated. I don't know why. I think the saying is always build something you really love or find something you really hate and then like find a solution for it. At least for me, for some reason, my majority of my tech projects have been stuff that I didn't like doing, so I coded away a solution. So yeah, go around, really try to figure out what it is everybody's role is, and then also really get to know your team. I think getting to know your team and figuring out like what they do on a day-to-day basis and figure out how you can help them, that's what's going to give you points and make your stock go up to them. And that's all it is at the end of the day. Being in corporate, you are just playing a game, and it really is about stock. So you want to make sure the stock of you just goes up in the company. I had an old manager once tell me this, like whenever you're working in any corporate role, this is back when I had a sales job, he's like, you always want to make the stock of you go up in the company, no matter what. So I always loved the way he said that, so I'm sharing that with you. So shout out to my old manager Todd for telling me that. But yeah, so I think after documentation, getting to know people and stuff, you're probably going to be shown like a little bit of code. I think at first they'll give you some really low risk type of ways to get into the code base. Usually it's something like a one-off project, or they'll show you what you are going to be working on, but you're going to be doing stuff like bug fixes. Like you're not making huge infrastructural change. So yeah, I think that's when they start to like dip your toes in the water. At least for me, that's how they had me going, was they just gave me some really low risk projects to work on. And then as I proved myself, I then got to get into the code base that I was hired on for. But I think when you're getting into this, the best thing you can do is find somebody that's really versed in that code base and try to get time with them and ask them as many questions as possible. And when you're doing these low risk projects, I think really investing time in these low risk projects and showing the quality of your work, that's what's going to be impressive. And then when you do end up meeting the deadline, because I did, there were times where I finished faster than they expected, go back to your notes and figure out if there's something you can help other team members with, because that I think is what really contributed to my success, is that I wouldn't just help, obviously I'd help my team, like my internal team's task came first, but whenever I found myself having a little bit of extra time, even on my lunch breaks at first, I would spend time and I would help people in other departments, and I'd create like one-off little scripts that would just kind of take care of something annoying that they told me was annoying to them. And wow, that really made my stock go up in the company, and I am like 100% sure that's why I won an award actually at my job. I got recognized as being like one of the most helpful people in the company, and sort of like an employee of the month type award. And that is why. It's because of these little projects where sometimes I wouldn't spend more than like 20 minutes total on it, and these were just little one-off like scripts, but it helped a coworker so much because they were so annoyed to do this. Like one of the projects I did was just moving files around for them. Like when they got done on like a Friday or whatever, they were like, you know, it's so annoying to just like move these files where I want them to go. And I just made a little mover for them, and taking away like those extra 10 minutes that they do to move like a bunch of files, it saved them. And it's doing small stuff like that. That's what's gonna make your stock go up, especially in the first few weeks. You wanna, you know what I mean? Like you always wanna put your best foot forward, but especially like a first impression, you just never get another do-over for a first impression. So make that good impression very lasting. And I think a great way to do that is to impress all your coworkers, not just in your own team. I feel like I always get this question a lot from people that don't have a tech background and are very nervous going into that very first job as a software engineer, and I was too. And I always get the, well, how can I contribute if I'm so junior? And I'm telling you, documentation. Like, I don't care where you go, I feel like documentation just sucks. And it's not just with the code, just onboarding in general. So I made sure that I took screenshots of everything, like how I logged into our system, how I did everything, how I remoted in, how I got onto our code base, how to launch like products, how to launch stuff in a testing environment. And I took screenshots of everything, and I just pulled up a Word document, typed them in there, and made them into a nice PDF. And when I sent that to my whole team, like they were so happy and so impressed, like to the point where we still use those documents today. Like it blows my mind. We added some new people to our team, and they're using those exact training documents that I made. And I didn't think they were a work of art. Like honestly, they were just screenshots and just me like typing really fast with it. But contributing like that, they'll remember it. So this is my message to all, especially my junior people. Like, just document. Just do a really good job of documenting how you do stuff by writing, videotaping, screen sharing. Obviously, you got to check into your security situation on videoing, but the fact that I took great documentation is like one of the reasons I think my manager really likes me and the rest of the team really likes me, and I am that go-to source. When everybody's like, oh my gosh, I forgot how to do this one little thing, they always go, hey, I think Marcia has something for it. And yeah, I'm just a documentation girl for my team and everyone outside of our team. So yeah, documentation, that's the secret weapon. Because I feel like a lot of people, especially if they've been in an organization for a long time, they forget what it's like to be new. They forget that the processes that they do every day to somebody new, it's kind of a little tricky. So definitely document as much as possible. So after the first week, you've probably settled in a lot more. You kind of know where stuff is. They've given you some low list projects, kind of probably the first month, and you need to be somehow tracking your progress. I don't care if you do this in an Excel document. I use Monday.com, and if you're at a place that uses like a Jira product, like use that. Use something to document like what you're doing, so then that way you can let anybody know, like if they ever ask, hey, what are you working on? You can just be like, I can show you. And where I was at, they weren't using anything, and they actually ended up so my workplace ended up adopting Monday.com because they just loved how I was able to instantly tell them what was going on all the time. Pretty much everything that I did was searchable too, so they really loved it. They loved my boards on Monday.com. I think Monday.com is very visually appealing. If I had it my way, we would be using a Jira product, but like I said, I work at a place where the IT team is just one component of the large piece. I'm not at a tech company per se, so using Monday.com was better at talking to other departments, and that's what we needed. We needed to be able to talk to other departments, so that's why I made Monday, because I talk to the sales and finance department a lot where I work, and they just if I showed them a Jira board, it would just be too much, but showing them a Monday board that was very visually appealing and easily searchable and easy for them to filter through on their own, that made all the difference. So yeah, you never know. Something that you find that you really love could be something that your company adopts. So yeah, this is just my big message, that you should always be tracking your work, be able to show whoever you're working with what you're doing, and be able to easily get them to understand what you're doing. That's a big thing. So yeah, but expect your workload to kind of up as you get a little bit more comfortable, and then really get into a schedule and a routine. I feel like you got a plan. I know I talked about this in my last video about becoming a software engineer, but even after you get the job, you need to be able to plan your week. You need to have a schedule, have it blocked off, what you're doing at certain times, and yeah, time management is key. I feel like the successful people on my team are not the best coders. It's the people that have the best time management, and it shows anywhere. So get your time management, use a planner, use Outlook calendar, do whatever you need to do to make it very clear that you know what you're doing at certain times of the day as you go. Like Leon Noel says in 100 Devs, you should not be walking into your week like it's an accident. It should be very purposeful that at Monday at 10 a.m. you have a standing meeting or something like that. So yeah, plan accordingly, because as you come to find out, it's not the coding that gets hard, it's the time management component, dealing with cross-functioning teams, working with other people. That's when it gets hard. And yeah, so that's it. Also, the first few weeks, you're going to get introduced into the way your team just codes. And when I'm talking about that and their stylization, it's like using camel case versus snake case. You just got to go with whatever they do. And no matter what company you go to, you should expect standardization. So expect standardized processes and just learn them. Get used to the way they do stuff. Like if you're at a snake case place, just get used to it. That's how you're going to be writing code from now on. Do they like double quotes versus a single quote? Like, try to pick up on it. And when you are asking questions, really do a good job of writing it down. Like I said, I use GoodNotes, but use something that you can easily reference back to. Use Google Notes, whatever you have, and then be able to reference your notes for later on. But definitely be asking questions like, how do you do this? Or like when we are trying to get something, are we using a certain standard? Are we using modules? Stuff like that. And if not, that's okay. Just get a good grip of what their standards are and start replicating them. Like I had to get rid of Camel Case, RIP Camel Case, and the way I did it is that even in my personal projects, I would just kind of adopt the new standard that I have at work. At first it was a little bit weird, but once you get used to it, then it's like you don't know any other way. But yeah, really document the processes, especially about going from testing environment to production environment. I feel like everybody at any company has their own set of rules, so be very mindful of that. But yeah, I think that's what you should expect during that time. After they kind of trust you with some like really low risk projects, they'll start giving you some higher risk stuff. So get really good about that. And I think during this time, try to find people that you know will champion for you. So figure out who that is and really impress them and make their life easier. I feel like getting to know that, it's a bit of an art, but just talking to them as much as you can, or if you're in a remote setting such as I am, just Teams messaging them and trying to figure out like what their pain points are and trying to make that easier. They're really gonna appreciate you and they're gonna think about that, and it'll be a part of your review. Like when it comes to review time, they will remember when you made their life easier, I guarantee it. Really think about that when you are going through the first few weeks. Figure out who's going to champion you, who is on your team, and who can help you be successful. But yeah, I think really people underestimate documentation. So some main takeaways from this video I hope that you get is that don't underestimate the power of just being able to write like how to do stuff or what stuff does. I feel like no matter where you go, this is kind of how it works. And like I said, try to figure out what it is that people do and really listen. I feel like this time is a great time to learn and listen to what your coworkers do and try to figure out what you can do to make their lives easier. And I think if you do that and do a really good job of showing what you do for them and being able to be on top of your stuff, you're gonna do well. You're gonna succeed. Like there's no way you're not going to, because if you don't walk into your weeks like an accident, especially in the beginning, and you give a really good first impression, that's going to set the tone for the rest of the time that you're going to be at that workplace. So yeah, once again, congratulations. If you got to this video, it's because I'm assuming you've landed a job. You've done the hardest part, I feel like, which is just landing a job, especially if you come from a non-tech background and you're switching into tech. Like, bravo, props to you. You've done, like, I think the hardest thing ever. And yeah, congratulations. So you got this. Go into it knowing that you deserve a spot because they gave you a job offer. Don't let imposter syndrome get into the way. You are there, or you are here at this job because they wanted you here. If they didn't give you a job offer, then they didn't want you here. So get rid of that imposter syndrome. Know that low self-esteem gives off a smell. So don't be talking yourself down. Always be talking yourself up. Have confidence in your abilities. And like I said, put your best foot forward and don't walk into your weeks like an accident, and you got this. I hope this was helpful, and best of luck on your tech journey and your professional journey. Like, follow, and subscribe for more, and hope to see you around. And I'm really excited to keep doing these videos and answering all your questions. Thank you.